So it's been a good minute since we last talked about the state of top tier. Now, if you are familiar with my channel to any capacity, in early 2024, I made a series called The State of Top Tier, which basically went like this. Seeing that I have almost 11,000 hours in this game, and most of it was spent at top tier, I figured I'd make an entire lineup video in a certain nation showcasing the current state for that nation at top tier. And seeing that the Leviathan update has changed top tier GRB dramatically, in my opinion, I figured we go for a season 2 of the state of top tier. Consider this the talking head intro to that. All right, so with that being said, a bit of a disclaimer. All right, this is very much an unscripted talking head video. Might turn into a tangent, might turn into a bit of a rant, but more importantly, this is going to be based off my own personal experiences currently at top tier. I understand that I may miss some things, I may get some things wrong, I may say something that is entirely incorrect, but again, I'm only basing this off what I have been experiencing at top tier. Your experience may vary depending on your level of, well, skill, I guess, or ability at top tier. I wouldn't say skill's a big thing, more or less, especially when it comes to today's topic, but I'll get more into that a little bit later as we go. So yeah, and again, let me know what you guys think about this entire topic, this video. If you guys have anything you want to say, drop it in the comments. I promise I don't delete them, okay? Only the really, really aggressive ones. And by that, I mean like the one YouTube automatically deletes. Yeah, it can be crazy at times. But I am pleased to report that top tier GRB actually feels like top tier ground RB before the advent of a series of missiles. I'll get more into that in a quick second. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the use of combined warfare in War Thunder. In fact, it's one of the main reasons as to why I deeply enjoy coming back to War Thunder and playing this game. And to this day, there are exceedingly few games that can really offer this type of experience outside of, say, Battlefield, right? You can play infantry, which, speaking of which, actually, it's funny because Gaijin did an April Fool's event that made War Thunder look so amazing. It was so convincing that even IGN, which really isn't that difficult to trick, I think, picked up on it and ran with it thinking War Thunder is going to have infantry. But no, it was just a very clever joke, and just, I still kind of yearn for that in War Thunder, but back on the topic. Starting off with any sort of vehicle that you would like, such as a light tank, an MBT, a tank destroyer, even a helicopter with gun pods, has always been incredibly satisfying, and is one that I say, regardless of how you may view War Thunder, maybe you have some disagreements with it, I know we all do, that's an absolute fact. How much you like or despise Kaz, being able to bring out a helicopter or any sort of aircraft at the beginning and being able to utilize it properly can be very satisfying. At the same time, it can be very toxic, but it really depends on your matter of perspective, of course, as a player. But over the last many updates, actually, I can't give you an exact number because even I don't remember when it started. Maybe it started with the advent of the bullpup and the Nord missile. Oh man, if you guys remember those days, you're an OG. But I'm gonna say within the last 2 years, Kaz has grown tremendously powerful, and I mean it really has. In fact, I think the first time I remember getting frustrated at this game because of Kaz was with the KA-50. This was Beardless Justin back then too, where the Vickers missile actually had a 10-kilometer engagement distance no matter what altitude you were sitting at, and it would not render in. So you would not see the missile coming, nor would you see the helicopter, and even the top SPA platform at the time, the ADATS, was not able to counter the system. That's when things were really rough for me. But of course, as the years go by, Kaz has been getting balanced, right? There's been high points and low points. I think right now might be one of those low points, but I'll get into that in a quick second. But I think we can all agree that where things got really interesting and very tricky was when Gaijin brought in the KH-38MT with the SU-25 SM-3. It was only 4 missiles at the time, but being able to spawn in that subsonic platform and throw out 4 missiles to get 4 easy kills was a pretty wild experience. And yeah, sure, I get it. Maverick missiles do exist, but let's be honest here. How good are Maverick missiles? I've bounced them. I can't even begin to tell you how frustrating it was at times that I would use Maverick missiles and they just would not work. My God, I would count them as one of the worst missiles in the game. Now, of course, we also have the advent of GPUs as well as TV guided, IR guided ones as well. But the problem with those is that you had to be over the AO to get them to work pretty well, except for some rocket boosted ones, but I digress. Meaning that you had to come in within the sights of the Panseer, the ADATs, the Roland systems, etc. in order to use those correctly. And in my opinion, those are, to this day, still the most balanced of the bunch outside of GPS guided ones, but I won't get into that. But I think it really came to a head when we got the SU-34 as well as the Rafale with the hammers and more of those 38 MTs. And I mean, come on, how is this balanced in my opinion, all right? How are you able to just bring out a BMP-2 or a 2S-25M or something, scout a couple of targets, and immediately be able to bring out an aircraft with the capability of getting 6 guaranteed kills beyond the effective engagement distances of existing anti-air systems, at least for its time? And if more than one of these were up, yeah, the game was over. I remember the having 2 or 3 of these out at one given time, and it would knock out everybody in a very quick amount of time. And yeah, you can chalk that up to skill issue, etc. But let's be honest here, 14, 15 kilometer lock-on engagement distance. What are we gonna do with an ITO? Just wait for the missiles to hit? Yeah. Let's be real here, okay? They were very much unbalanced and they still can be to this day. And to compound the issue further, Gaijin decided to bring out the Rafale as well as another Su-30SM. And if you weren't already aware, did you know that the Su-30 and the Su-34 do not share the same SP pool? So meaning that if you were to have enough points, bring out your Su-34, get destroyed, you would still have enough points, more or less, to bring out the Su-30 and continue doing what you're doing. Not exactly fair and balanced in my honest opinion. And of course, the Rafale had the exact same thing going on as well, but the problem is those hammers are very slow. They're not small per se, and they can be easily intercepted by Panseers, which at the time was one of the few radar systems in the game to actually have an advanced radar enough to be able to intercept those missiles quite reliably. But that is where we lead into this part of the conversation, the Leviathan updates. Say what you will about the updates, maybe you didn't like the teaser, maybe you didn't like some of the new additions, which, by the way, I did enjoy that teaser very much. In fact, the song is now on my playlist, and I deeply enjoy rewatching it because the Comanche, the aesthetic, the editing, just magnificent. Seriously, Gaijin, you guys did great with that one. But no, that's not what we're talking about. We're not going to be talking about the Yamato or the Iowa or the Bismarck coming into the game. No, it is the anti-air systems that came with it. Now, I understand they were broken. In fact, this was probably one of the most jankiest updates Gaijin has released, even though they actually delayed the release as a whole by about a week in order to kind of fine-tune some things, and even then, they still needed, what, 2 or 3 weeks to get everything fixed properly. And trust me, I remember the whole air-to-air missiles didn't work that well. Ground-to-air missiles did not track very well either. I think AMRAAMs and other Fox 3s were just having a hard time maintaining lock on certain targets. They were basically acting like AIM-9Bs with no proxy almost. Oh, and let's not forget about the new active protection systems, which, Gaijin, come on, really? The trophy system is still broken on both the Namer as well as the Merkava Mark IV-M. It's been like that for about 2 or 3 patches now. You gotta work on it at some point soon. This update bringing the T-72 B3M or B3A kinda was a slap in the face of that, where the APS actually works, but not the trophy? Are you serious? But anyways, that tangent is now over. Now, I do want to go ahead and talk more about the new anti-air systems, and I'm going to kind of rank them a little bit from best to absolute worst. And trust me, it was a lot worse at the very beginning. Now things are pretty stable for the most part, and that kind of says a lot right now. But I will say this, the German TADS is by far the best of the bunch. Whether we want to accept that notion or not, I think is a little irrelevant because that thing is an absolute monster. It does not trigger maul that hard on most modern aircraft, and it's pretty stealthy for the most part, where it doesn't have an active radar homing head, which means your opponents aren't really going to be seeing it coming unless they have a maul system, which at times doesn't like to function against it. I would know in my Typhoon and Rafale where the maul likes to lag a little bit, meaning it goes off just about when the missile's about to hit. But I'll tell you, if the German TADS is out there, you need to fear it. It doesn't matter if you're throwing 38 MTs, if you're an Su-30, if you're a Rafale or a Typhoon, if you're within a certain range, which I would say is around 10, maybe 11 kilometers, it really depends, that missile is going to catch you. I know, even I have a hard time dodging it and flaring it. But currently, the German TADS is by far the best of the bunch, in my opinion. Next up is, of course, the Claw system. The American anti-air is good. I really enjoy it. The AIM-9X is a disgustingly accurate missile. I actually really fear the day we get it for aircraft, which it will come. I can almost guarantee you it will arrive for modern aircraft, maybe a later variant of the F-18, maybe the Typhoon or something. I don't know if they actually used it. But when it comes to the Slam Rams, they're good. They get the job done. They don't really work that well. They're not great against helicopters, which, by the way, the German TADS is amazing at, of course. But realistically, you're not going to be using it too much over the AIM-9X, in my opinion, though you want to definitely watch my previous video on it to get a better idea. And I think another sleeper SPAA, which you should definitely look into even more so if you play Japan, is the Type 81 TADS, or the Tansam Kai. Currently, the only missile platform at top tier that is effectively able to Mad Dog the missiles. If you don't know what Mad Dog is, it basically means you throw the missile out and that seeker head is going to catch anyone within its line of sight, friendly or otherwise. And here's a funny trick. If you're able to identify where the airfield is at and you see or hear a nuke coming in, you can actually throw the missiles out in that direction and the missile might actually pick up on the nuke aircraft. I've done it. I have lost the clip for it, to be honest. If I can find it, you'll be watching it right now, but it did happen and it was hilariously a bully. And then, of course, we have the Chinese CSSA-5, which wasn't really that good at the very beginning. The missiles didn't pull hard enough and there was no data link. Gaijin has long rectified that problem by giving the missiles a data link, which does work out pretty well. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how to use the gun as well as I should, honestly. I have used it to intercept ammunition, being 38 MTs, Mavericks, GBUs, etc., but I really wouldn't rely on this too much for that, but it is entirely feasible to do so. And really, to my own surprise, the second to last happens to be the Eldon Het 98. Those Irish-T missiles are actually pretty good. Yeah, it's a little bit slow. Yeah, the range is a little poor on it for the most part, but if those missiles come at you, they're going to come at you almost as well as the German TADS, which has made for a wonderful experience for the Swedish. Though I will say, the mobility on this thing, Gaijin did buff it, thankfully, but damn, it sucked, dude. Climbing like a very small grade of a hill and not being able to climb it as well as it should have, that drove me nuts. Gaijin already made the mention that, in easier words, you're literally dragging this thing the entire time around because the engine in it or the tracks they won't work independently from the main vehicle. Now, I know this might be a little bit of a controversial statement, but I'm just gonna say it as I sees it. The Spider sucked. I'm sorry, I hated using this thing almost every single time. That video you saw me playing with this thing took me about 2 weeks to get footage for, almost, because man, it was broken at the beginning. The derbies are okay, they get the job done, but they are nowhere near as efficient as I think they should be. And the Pythons, they wanted to act like AIM-9X, but the fact that this missile isn't nearly as good as that, and it jumps all over the place. Yeah, it's not really an ideal system. Plus, it is taller than the Eiffel Tower. But yeah, this was by far the worst experience I've had in anti-air systems. Now, will they change this? Probably. I like to think they will, but you never know. But when it comes to the top tier experience for ground RB right now, when it comes to tanks, light vehicles, MBTs, yes, it is so much better than it has been in so long. It's actually nice to be able to just drive out freely in the middle of an open field and not really have to worry about any sort of 38 MT or some sort of GBU. Now, yes, it does happen. Yes, people still use it, but it is nowhere near as common as it used to be, which makes for a pretty wonderful tank experience. And that's assuming there's anti-air out there, which most players assume there are, and they don't want to take that risk. And one more thing I want to add to that. If you are a dedicated anti-air player, you're someone who plays the TADS, the Slam Ram, the Spider or something, you have my undying respect. You honestly really do. Because of players like you have made ground RB what it used to be. And to you, I say, hell yeah. But case in point, ground RB actually feels very nice to play. Though I will say this, I'm wondering what Gaijin is going to have cooking up soon. I mean, are we going to be getting anti-radiation missiles, HARMs? I think we're just about ready for them given the type of systems we have in the game. Now, Gaijin didn't make a mention that they did not want to bring those in at least yet, as those were more designed for sophisticated systems such as the Patriot, the S300, S400 based systems. More for the fixed radar systems, though, given what we have right now, I wouldn't doubt we would get something along the line to counter these, which would mean SPA players would have to be even more smart about their placement and when to use their radar systems, which can be a detriment and possibly even allow Kaz to reign supreme once again. But that really remains to be seen, so for the meantime, I will be enjoying my tank battles and my occasional Kaz from time to time. But I do want to know what you guys think about this in its entirety, and also thank you for listening to my tangent talking head video. It's been a while since we've done this, but I really want to share this with you guys because it has been a fun experience, and more so making videos again for top tier. Not that I have been stopping on it, excuse me. It's just been a pain in the ass to really play top tier when Kaz was so miserable at times. Yes, I know I can accept the receiving end of Kaz, but I can also dish it out too. But still, let me know what you guys think down in the comment sections. Has this Leviathan update actually made top tier GRB better, or maybe you hate it because you are a Kaz player yourself? Speak up. Don't be shy. I'm not making fun of you, I promise. I'm one myself, okay, and I deeply enjoy Revenge Kaz. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, let me know, guys. And while you're swinging on down to the About section, don't forget my live streams over on Twitch. By the time you are watching this, I will be in the middle of my second round of Twitch drops, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there, and you get to watch this bearded goodness that is me. But yeah, I'm all done with this tangent, guys. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and I will see you not only in the next video or even the streams, but most certainly in top tier, playing my MBTs and occasionally my fixed-wing Kaz aircraft. I'll see you next time.